Hello, Wayne Singleton. We are
Hello.
live. Woohoo! We were just saying, Wayne and I, that it's a bit dark in Kendal today, isn't it? A bit dark and murky.
Just there's this strange grey stuff in the sky today, which we haven't seen for about 5 weeks. And that's the problem.
I'll tell you what I saw this morning going over the lake, and I don't know what it's called. What's that really big, slow airplane called going over the lake? You know the one I mean?
Like yeah, they were the Hercules, but I think they've changed those now. But yeah, the big lumbery beast, aren't they?
Yeah, really low and really slow. And I was thinking, when it gets to the end of the lake, where's it going to go? I was watching, through the clouds, and it just kind of disappeared. Amazing. But yeah, we're not used to this weather, are we? I've got no mind to complain, actually.
Well, and there's these strange blue spots that keep appearing on the weather forecast as well, don't there? I don't know what that's all about.
I don't know what they are. Maybe they just mean water your garden.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
So you're in Kendal at the moment, Wayne, aren't you? Whereabouts in Kendal are you?
Well, just outside. I'm in Enmore. So,
oh, lovely.
Just south of Kendal, a couple of miles. Yeah.
Ah, right. I didn't know you were in Enmore. That's a lovely village, isn't it?
It is. It's amazing, yeah.
Yeah. So I've wanted to get Wayne on lockdown lesson for a few weeks because, as I said in my news 10 this morning, he seems to know everybody and he seems to know everything. He's the all-seeing, all-knowing. And I know that you have some things that you're actually known for, but you're known for some things from some people, aren't you? And other people know you for something else. And I think what we talked about was this idea of having this kind of metamorphosis through your career and ending up with lots of different strands or lots of different strings to your bow, whatever metaphor you want to use. But it's all about making sure that you're doing what you love and earning a living. And hey, Vic, and I just would love to explore that kind of relationship between those two things, because sometimes what you really love doesn't pay the rent, right? And sometimes what pays the rent you don't like. But before we dive into that, just tell us a little bit about Wayne. So where have you come from? What have you been doing the last few years?
So this is part of the story, I guess, is what. So I'm Cumbrian born and bred. Born at Helm Chase, just down the road in Kendal, the original Helm Chase, not the 1930 unit. Yeah. So as many.
You're old enough.
And done loads of stuff around the Lake District, and I worked in hotels, and then I went down to Blackpool to study hotel management. Did a load of stuff. Worked for Disney. Worked over in the States. Worked up in Edinburgh. Worked down in Dartford. And I'd sort of moved away.
Disney one, because people are going to want to know about that.
Sorry,
mate. Disney one. Tell us about Disney.
Yeah. Well, that was when I was rather studying at Blackpool College. So Disney came over and recruited. There was 2 coach loads of us went over to Disneyland Paris, and just Christmas and New Year one year. So we were about 2 to 3 weeks over there. Just a massive gang. And they have a village called Marne-la-Vallée, which Disney built just for its staff. It's an amazing place. So you've got these these little houses with 2, 3, 4 bedroom apartments in that staff shared, and we just spent so it was absolutely amazing. So I've got a great photograph of me aged I think 20 at the time with my mate Simon, who was 28, and Richard, who was 22, and we've all got our arms around Mickey Mouse at the entrance to the park. Fantastic. But we were all working in various guises in the hotels around the park. Just incredible experience and that.
Wow.
So some of the this is brilliant. Some of the tales. So one night working in the restaurant, Captain Hook comes in, quite a scary character, scared a young girl, 3 or 4 years of age. Dad comes over and punches Captain Hook.
No.
So Captain Hook goes off into so he's got a big Captain Hook head on, goes back into the kitchen, takes his head off, and he's got a bloody mouth. Like, this guy's proper lamped him. And then Mickey Mouse, this is devastating. So I'm sorry for everyone watching that this will ruin an image. Mickey Mouse out in the restaurant, wandering around, because they're not allowed to speak, so you don't know who's in the outfit. Wandering around, waving at everyone, shaking hands, stuff. Mickey Mouse walks into the kitchen, head off. It's a little ginger-headed girl. I was just like, whoa, no, it's not right. So anyway, it just ruined an image.
Tell me that the Tooth Fairy doesn't exist next, aren't you?
Well, yeah. We won't go into that. But yeah, this amazing infrastructure, the Disney University that's on the site that trains all these actors and actresses to do this job was phenomenal. So that was while I was at Blackpool, and then I worked on an island called Nantucket, which is famous for the Moby Dick story. Was based on Nantucket. I worked over there for a while. And then anyway, that's the story. I ended up working at the Wild Boar at Crook for English Lakes Hotels, and was assistant manager there, and got personnel tagged onto my job. So I started liking the people-y side of it. So
can I ask you about that? Do you think the experience at Disney was that instrumental in knowing how to manage people, how to maybe instigate training and all those kind of things?
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was brilliant. It's not a great word, but the indoctrination that Disney do with you is just phenomenal. The history, what they tell you about Walt Disney and how he did his business, and the cultural stuff that they inducted us into in a very short space of time, because we only got a couple of days worth of induction, was just phenomenal. It really was. And that culture of encouraging the delight in children especially was just wonderful. It really was. It was an amazing experience just to see and be involved in that. And yeah, that led really well onto the doing the people-y stuff that's involved in hotels and catering, and then onto sort of the HRy work really. So I moved from English Lakes Hotels to work for Hilton down in Kent.
Gosh, you moved around a lot, haven't you?
Yeah. The crux of this story, and again, a lot of you and probably a lot of people listening will really enjoy this story. We used to obviously party fairly hard when we were working in hotels. And one night I'd gone down to the Wheelhouse in Bowness on my night off. And I think I had my first mobile phone around this period. And so my mum did loads of work on farms. So she did work for the Milk Marketing Board, taking samples of milk for testing and stuff. So she knew loads. She still does know loads of people, and I'll mention the family name in a minute. But I'd been on a night out down at the Wheelhouse, got home at 3:30 in the morning or something like that. 7:30, I think it was, Mum sent me a text saying, "Oh, what were you up to last night?" And I was just suddenly this tiny insular world that we live in here, which is a 21, 22-year-old, it just did my head in basically. So I sort of made the decision to move away and go and do something different, and that's applied for a few jobs down south. And
you couldn't go to the Wheelhouse and just let your hair down and your mum not know about it.
Exactly, yeah, that was it. And so my mum is an O'Loughlin, so owned O'Loughlin's toy and model shop, and so that was my grandfather. And
I know your mum then in that case.
Yeah. You were Leslie, yeah.
In fact, let her know. She might not know this, but she might not know who my granddad was. My granddad was her biggest competitor.
Oh, really? No, who's that? Who was that?
He had Ken Dunn. He had Townley and Taylor's.
Oh, right. Okay. Wow.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah, and it's but brilliant, because that sort of makes the story to me go full circle. So I moved away because I hated everyone knowing everything about what I was doing, and then went to this massive hotel right beside the M25 in Kent. It was horrific. Nobody knew who I was or cared, and nobody spoke to you if you were out and about, and just it was just an awful sort of 18 months really. Went through bomb threats, the largest drugs bust in the southeast of England in our car park. We had suicides in our hotel rooms, fires.
Far removed from Kendal. And
very absolutely, very much so. Just just a grim experience. Met some amazing people, but it was a testing time to say the least. That then one of my friends left, and she went to work for a hotel group in Edinburgh, and so wanted some help over sort of Hogmanay over Christmas and New Year. So I moved up there to spent, I think it was 3 months working in Edinburgh, and then just all sorts of reasons made me think I just wanted to come home really, and that's where again the sort of the circle came back to. I want to be at home. I want to know, I want people to. I don't know. I just want to know people. I want people to say hello, and and all that sort of business. So moved back
From
home.
not wanting anybody to know what you're up to in the wheelhouse to wanting people to say hello to you on the street again.
Absolutely, it really was, and it was a huge culture shock, I think, as you know, sort of early 20s being going between those two things. It was couldn't have been more extreme, really. And then so then got a sort of bunch of jobs in and around Kendal. So worked behind the bar in the Fleece. Did a job as a training manager's assistant, and that sort of really started my proper career in HR. I became a personnel manager for a local charity, and then I went and bless you. And,
sorry, just sneeze. Don't worry.
That hay fever time.
You might patch it across here.
Yeah, cover my mouth. And then so I worked for a local charity, the Oakley Trust, as their first personnel manager, and then got a job at BAE Systems. So I spent how many years? 8 years on and off. I had 2 different stints there as a HR manager, looking after ultimately their operations directorate. So the guys who actually build the submarines, the nuclear submarines over there. So looking after about 2,000 employees. Wow. And everything that's involved with people services for 2,000 employees. And yeah, just phenomenal experience. Absolutely remarkable. It really is. What an amazing place to be involved in, seeing these pieces of these marvels of engineering technology it is phenomenal. And if you get a chance to go over to the shipyard and see one of the subs, definitely drop everything and get over there. Then I can't remember what had changed for me, but I ended up moving from home wise as well. So I sort of moved over to Endemore from a house I was living in Barrow, and I wanted to get a job a bit closer to home. So, and just coincidentally, a job came up for a company called Tronic in Ulverston. So Tronic make plugs and sockets that work under the sea, but they worked 2 miles down under the sea. It's phenomenal. Yeah, again, an amazing piece of engineering, really. And so I joined, and just as I joined, there was an acquisition process going on. So they were bought by Siemens, and all sorts of managed that process. So the transfer of all the employees from Tronic to Siemens and everything that's associated with that.
Much more about sort of change management, I would have imagined.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah, and all the employment law and legal stuff that came with that. So particularly around that time, was a bit of an expert in TUPE, so the transfer of undertakings legislation, which, amongst many other things, but employee engagement, communication, change management, those were all sort of areas of expertise that I had. And then various things changed because we became part of this massive multinational corporation. So BAE Systems have 100,000 employees worldwide. Siemens have 400,000 employees, or had at the time. So my role changed. So I'd gone from I was very, very, very fortunate. I spent, whilst I was at Tronic, or before they got acquired, I got to go out and visit the site in Rio de Janeiro. They flew me out there. I went out to Norway as well. They had a manufacturing site overlooking the fjords, which I know you'll love with some of your travels. There's this little factory perched up on a hill just overlooking the fjords. It was just the conference room just had this massive picture window. So every day you're just looking over at the fjords, over the mountains on the other side, watching the weather coming towards you. It's just, it's incredible. That was near Bergen, a little place called Bumlo. So that was really interesting. And then, so my role changed, like I say, when Siemens acquired us, and I became the head of training and development for their energy management division. So that was predominantly my role became looking after all the young people across the UK for the division. So we had 50 apprentices and graduates at Ulverston alone, and then all the rest of them around the country as well. So there was, I think at one point, our training team was something like 8 people, with in the region of 200, just 200 apprentices based on different places. And then it was when we were going through a bit of a switch in the way that the apprentice training was delivered as well. So I was involved in developing the new qualifications, particularly for engineering and manufacturing at the time.
So what caused you to come away from HR then? What was that transition like for you? Because HR had been your career for quite a long time. So what was the change that brought you into a different career?
So the training and development bit was still part of HR, but then the oil and gas price crashed basically, and because I was based at Ulverston and their business was all oil and gas, I just get made redundant, and I was surprised by how much redundancy pay I actually received, because I hadn't been there, I'd only been there 3 or 4 years. But I was determined. I thought HR work, internal or retained HR as we call it, it's a bit grim. You get involved in people moaning that they're not paid enough. You get all the people that have got to be sacked. You get the worst possible. Honestly, the stories I could tell, it's just the worst of life is what we get involved in. And I just thought I just needed to get out of that, really. And that brings us up to the reason for this, really, was wanting to do stuff I loved rather than wanting to do stuff that made me feel a bit miserable a lot of the time. Excuse me, sorry, I'm just shift around a bit.
Was the pay good, relatively speaking, in HR? And so,
phenomenal.
When you came out, you were going to have to take a pay cut. Was that the decision you had to make?
Oh God, yeah. And the pay that I was on, particularly at Siemens, was silly. It really. I was paid a silly amount of money but there's a compromise there, isn't there? Because you get paid that amount of money. There's other sacrifices that happen in life, such as not seeing the kids as much, or you always use this as an example. My boss was based down in Lincoln, and I think he phoned me up on a Monday and said, we need a meeting on Wednesday. All right, can we do it over the phone? No, I want to see you. What time? Oh, I can only manage 9:30 in the morning. What? Yeah, so get down here for a meeting, and then you can get off back to your job again. So I was like, all right, well, I couldn't get any accommodation, so I had to drive down to Lincoln. I met him for an hour and then drove home again. And so and then still had to do a day's work again when I got back. So I was like, right, I don't feel that great about stuff like that. So it's just working for a massive multinational corporation. Really, it's just a fact. It's not. I think the situation we find ourselves in now might change some of that somewhat, but.
I was thinking the same thing. I think a lot of people are making those kind of decisions right now. Let's move it on a bit. I'm a bit conscious of time, and I know we could actually just talk about your whole career.
I know, I know.
Wouldn't be enough time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I was determined to do some stuff that I loved, that I wanted. Just around about that time, I was having some conversations with a guy called Charlie Sprosen. It was a friend of mine. So I know Nick was actually watching one of these.
Yeah, is that Nicky Sprosen's?
Yeah.
Better
half, yeah. Okay. Other half, no. I was helping him coaching, doing some coaching through his business, which is now Mountain Run. So I guess that's, and saying, he said this phrase, he said he'd been down at a conference in London, and the guy who was watching had said, do what you love as often as you can. And it just really struck me, that bit. And so I'd been made redundant, and I was like, right, okay, then I've got a bunch of skills here that I can use to translate to do something else. So I was treat it like a business. So I sat down, did a bit of presentation. Right, what do I really want to do? What do I love doing? How can I do that more? Sorry, I'm reading notes off to the side of my screen. Right. What and who will help me do it? And if you got that slide handy, or the photograph I sent over, that first one.
And then I will share my screen. See if I can do that. Modern science is going to allow me to do it.
Awesome.
Put that up. Can you see that?
I can see that. So basically, I took Charlie through this, and this was a bit of a coaching technique stuff that I'd learned through in the HR world, really. But with me in the middle, or your business in the middle, and the length of the lines indicate how close to certain people you are, really. So put me in the middle, and I was like, right, who can help me achieve what I want to achieve, which was doing more activity, being in the outdoors more, running more. I'd set up Ulverston Tri Club not long before I was made redundant, so I knew I had a massive network of people there. This is just these all just show examples of what you could have on there. So people that could help me do more running, family, friends. Put Sam Club on there, obviously. Says giving a big win.
Big shout out to Sam Club.
Business network, sporting network, event organisers.
These people you felt could help you do more of what you loved. Is that what we're trying to say?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and that's sort of who in your network can help you get where you want to be in some way, shape, or form.
Read them out just in case people can't read them because it might be on their phone. So the top one says NGOs. So that's
so like non-governmental organisations. Yeah, so in whatever shape or form.
Family is next, is it?
Yeah, and then NHS, so people that are involved in, and police actually is another one that have helped me in various ways as well. Okay. Active Cumbria next is the County Sports Partnership. Right. Event organisers, so people who are involved, and this is a huge one for me. Really, a lot of my work now comes from event organisers. So people like Brave, who do the Windermere Marathon, or Charlie Sprosen again. Or people who I do a bunch of work on charity events, so like Yorkshire Three Peaks attempts or National Three Peaks attempts. Right. Who involved in my sporting network, so people that I just know through activity, people that I know through my business network. So whoever that might be. So like you say, I think it was predominantly through Siemens, but really managed to get an extensive business network of all sorts of people. Who then who are involved in sports as well, who can then influence and help and support. And it comes back to one of the things I think that you said, Sam, before at the Sam Club is who do you want to have a brew with? Who might be who fascinates you that you want to sit and have a brew with, those sort of people. And then friends and stuff like networking events like Sam Club are brilliant for getting that message out there, really.
Definitely are. So the idea of this is the thing that you wanted to do more of was more active outdoor, mountains, running, that kind of stuff. Is that right?
Yeah, I wanted my job to be working outside, doing that stuff that I love doing as a hobby. So whether that was walking, running, or more recently swimming, really, and anything that was, well, not anything. It's probably linked to the triathlon disciplines actually. So swimming, running, cycling, and that's probably what I get involved in a lot of the time now.
That's good. Did you know that you loved those because you'd been doing them while you were doing this very stressful HR job? That had been your kind of outlet. Is that right?
Yeah, very, very much so. And that, it definitely is that. And again, come to recognise that far more now. It's the mental health benefits of doing all that stuff. Really, really, it just it's unfathomable. Really, not being, given the situation we find ourselves in now, not doing stuff like that, it really is a challenge. Or not being able to go out and run with friends. The majority of the work that I do at the moment is guiding in some way, shape, or form. So it's accompanying large groups of people who are active in the outdoors, and that's.
So what's the steps that you took? You got this map to decide who could help you find, I presume, paid work in that sector. And then what did you actually do? I probably need to keep it fairly brief, but just tell us, what kind of steps you took.
Alongside that was getting a bunch of qualifications that would help me. So England athletics qualifications, starting my I'm still a trainee mountain leader, but I still get a lot of work doing mountain leader stuff, really. And then just finding those opportunities to do work, really. And the more you do, the more you get. It definitely worked like that for me, taking those opportunities and sort of coming back, really treating myself like as a business, like looking for what can I do in the short term, less than 4 weeks to help that, and giving myself a bunch of objectives. Medium term, how do I do that? Long term, 12 months plus, what do I need to do to satisfy that? And I've still got a bit of a plan now for both the Jogging Piles business that I've got and to an extent myself to help satisfy that. So, and that's led to this really portfolio career that I've got now doing.
Just tell us about Jogging Piles then. How did that come about? And when?
Well, that's my best mate Glyn initially set that up, and sort of that came about at a similar time to what I was made redundant, really.
So what is Jogging Piles?
So we do everything from couch to 5K programs, right the way through to, which are guided, right the way through to coaching for multi-day events, trail running holidays. We were just about to launch a series of fun runs in Kendal, and well, yeah, I've had 12 events actually that I've been asked to manage this year around the south of Cumbria, all of which obviously just evaporated overnight pretty much. So we did, holidays. We started delivering trail running holidays this year, and had a series of about 7 of those lined up for the course of the year.
Yeah, the retreat you did, if that's what you would call it, I thought that looked really amazing, really quite inspirational place.
It's just immense, yeah. And then that location particularly really is, and it's using stuff like that. You know, what we see is the majority of people are like people like yourselves, really, really busy. 95% female, really busy lives, don't want the stress or hassle of having to find everything out themselves. So we're like, well, we'll pick you up from Oxenholme, we'll transport you to the venue, we'll take care of your weekend. You just bring your clothes and booze, basically. And that's exactly what happened. It was, so we had Pilates, we went for a run, we had yoga afterwards, we had amazing vegan food from Heathen Vegan. We were staying at a bunk barn in the Rusland Valley. It was just stunning. I think if it was a bit drier, that would have been the only thing that could have perfected it. It really was amazing.
So let's bring up to today's day, only because we've only got a couple of minutes left. That's all right. So it's today in Wayne's life, how many different career strands do you have?
Probably about 8 or 9, I think. Yeah.
Incredible. What would you say to somebody who is maybe in a job they don't like but can't afford to leave it? I'm sure that's a lot of people right now. Or maybe when you're in, a furlough position, you're thinking, actually, I probably could live on less money, perhaps, and maybe starting up a side hustle or some way of getting out. Or maybe they do really like what they do, but they want to have more money or another outlet for their talents and, interests. And so people are looking, I think, at different ways of earning money, different ways of making a living. What would you say to those people? What's your advice?
And I think first, develop your exit strategy. Think about how you're going to get out of doing what you're doing now and into what you want to do. And that can be a slow stage thing over time, but you've got to have that plan. You really have. And don't get me wrong, it's been phenomenally tough. And I think for me, it was I just turned a corner this year. I could see light at the end of the tunnel, and then everything's rugs pulled out from under me a little bit. But yeah, it's how are you going to do that? How are you going to manage it? And be really clear about what your short, medium, and long term objectives are. But treat it, you've got to treat it that seriously. But side hustle is absolutely the right words for it. It struck me a couple of days ago. I saw that comment, and I was like, yeah, I've developed so many side hustles. It's unbelievable. And you've got a
podcast, by the way, as a resource for people who are listening, by Noah Kagan. I've forgotten the name of the podcast now. It's got a silly name, but if you look up Noah Kagan, Kagan, he's actually got a podcast episode very recently called something about finding a side hustle. So he talks about side hustles a lot, and I think it is becoming more of an idea that is more accepted. It's not like a 9 to 5, 5 days a week anymore. You've got different things you can do, haven't you?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that leads me on to the point is, if you're in paid employment for somebody else at the moment, it is so easy to earn a salary. Once you become self-employed and doing your side hustle, it's it's tough, isn't it? Earning pennies is proper hard work, and
finding clients and knowing what to charge them, charging what you're worth, and accounting for the fact that you're only going to sell maybe a third of your hours. And yet you need to be able to pay for all things you're paying for now. So you usually have to charge 3 times per hour what you were earning as part of your salary. That's normally what I work on when I'm mentoring small businesses. And that feels like a lot of money to charge. If you're used to getting paid £15 an hour and you're suddenly having to charge 50, that feels like there's a mental block, isn't there, against that? What do you think?
Yeah, and it's absolutely right, and it's getting that your pricing strategy right for the market really, as well as something what people will want to pay, and against the value of your time. You've got to recognise that. I always struggled with why would people want to pay me to go for a run? And that was, but everybody does. And it's because, so many people say it's because I don't have to think about anything. I just follow Wayne. And that's the value is, I plan it all for people. And
accountability maybe as well. I was saying this to somebody the other day. I teach estate agents and I teach them their marketing. And I was saying to somebody, do you know what? If you read every bit of free content I've ever written, what you'd see is that's all you need to know. But that's not enough for people because people want coaching and help and support. So they want to pay for that. It's not about information. They could read up how to start running. They could read up how to do a 5K. But actually to have Wayne on their side and cheering them on is the bit that they want to pay for, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting, isn't it? That, I've got another 2 running coaching clients since Friday of last week. And it's that sort of thing. It's people saying, I want to use this time, and I want your knowledge, expertise, and I want to know you'll be there nagging me as well to it, or like on the flip side, cheering me on when I actually succeed, because you absolutely will with that, with that expertise, like you say, you will succeed because I don't know, you love doing it, don't you? Yeah.
And I think especially when people have failed before, maybe tried the couch to 5K or tried running, or they've had too long a gap, or they've been injured, and they want really a bit of expertise and guidance. That's where you come in. Should we do the plug for the Jogging Piles now? I'll put it up on the screen and then I can show everybody, because you can tell us as well what's happening at the moment with Jogging Piles, which is that one there. I don't know if people can see this. I'll pop it up, or maybe you could pop it up if you've got an image of this, Wayne. We can put it in the comments, can't we?
Yeah. So this, this was an old, and again, a lot of locals will remember the Atkinson fun runs that used to happen back in the day, back in the 80s. We think they were down Natland Road in Kendal, and a bunch of people, including Matt Bland from Peatland Sports, had been mentioning this. And I sort of thought, well, why don't we do that? A family event. When I was, I think it must have been 11 or 12, I used to do these on my own, and one a month, and they'd build up in distance and then come back down again. So we were, the first one should have been last night, he says, with wiping a tear away from his eye. So the launch was going to be last night with a bunch of partners, local partners who were getting involved. And so we will get these back up and running as soon as we possibly can do, responsibly, obviously. But what we're starting to do is going virtual with these now. So we're doing virtual events. So basically people just pay a nominal fee. We're making a donation to an appropriate charity. And you get a memento of the event, but you do a virtual event. So you just go out and run 10K or something like that on your own. And then at a point in the future when we can actually get the mementos, the tokens, the medals out to people, we will do. But that's for us now. But so it's joggingpiles.co.uk, or go and give us a like on Facebook. Give them
a like on Facebook. It's the least you can do. Right. Well, I'm gonna pin you down to. I want 3 things that somebody can do if they want to get into a portfolio career, aka Wayne Singleton, and 3 things to do if they're just thinking about running and haven't actually got off the couch yet. Can you do that for me?
Right now.
Yeah, right now.
So 3 for a portfolio career.
First one. Yeah, go on then.
Portfolio career then. Firstly, what's the thing that you love? You need to know that. You need to know that. And is that, do you want to do that as a business? Secondly, then it's your exit strategy. How do you get out of doing what you're doing at the moment and into that? And then thirdly is treat it like a business. Set out your business strategy, what you're going to do in the next 4 weeks, the next 3 to 9 months, and then 12 months plus.
I think what you did well with the charts of mind map was who can help you do that. That's point 3, isn't it? Really about treating like a business. Yeah.
And that was so handy. And I know, well, I like to think that it definitely helped Charlie out in what he's doing at the moment with Mountain Run, and I don't know whether it's true for Nikki as well, but whether Nikki's used any of that for Nick's Nordic Walks or not. But it definitely works. It really does. And then what was?
I say something about that as well, because a lot of people come to me with a business idea and say, "What do you think?" Now the problem is people fall in 2 categories: either no, it's a terrible idea, Mr. Dyson, you shouldn't do that. You're going to have to make 3,000 prototypes and it's never going to work. Or yes, it's a brilliant idea. By the way, I'm never going to buy it. So I think that people fall into those 2 camps. So be very careful. My feeling is about taking feedback from people, because unless that person's got a vested interest, and actually sometimes when they've got a vested interest, you're not going to get true feedback. And all you can do really is put your own research into it and follow your own path. Because, 10 years ago, if somebody had said there's going to be something called the Couch to 5K and you can make money out of it, you just wouldn't have believed it.
Yeah, no. And I still don't, but that's it's but it's wonderful. It really is. I absolutely love it. It's so satisfying seeing people achieve stuff. It really is. It's amazing.
Well, let's move on. 3 ways to get into running.
Well, get a pair of trainers. Just get them on. It is easy. Just get out there and get going. You can start off yourself. There's plenty around, but there's this amazing company around called Jogging Piles. So if you want to get into running, Jogging Piles, this guy called Wayne, get a coach. It is. Normally our running groups really do help people out, because you pal up, you chunter away to each other. You go out for a run and you talk away, and you don't realise where the miles have gone. And it's amazing. You feel so much better having somebody else to offload onto as well, and that's where the ability to pal up in our terms really works for us. And it is mostly people that have tried the Couch to 5K and just can't get through it.
If somebody can get through it, it's such a sense of achievement. You feel like you've got nobody to share it with. You feel like, and then what's the next bit after it? And I think people can feel a bit lost. So I think having someone like you on, in their corner is really important.
Yeah, and we do everything from Couch to 5K. So we have groups that do 5 to 10K and 10 to 20K as well. So that will take you up to half marathon distance at least. And the community is just fantastic. It is, fantastic. I said to you the other day, that's one of the things that stuck with me, that's now working for Jogging Piles, is developing that community. It really, it's amazing seeing on social media so many people whose paths would never have crossed under normal circumstances, who are now saying, well done, or can I do anything, or how's the kids? It's
a leveler, isn't it? It's a leveler, no matter what you earn, how beautiful or thin or not beautiful or not thin you are, everybody just gets leveled when it comes to that. I think that's fantastic.
Absolutely, it is. And it's so many wonderful friendships have emerged. It's one of the things that we're most proud of, is that seeing all our pals collectively in large groups in various places. It's amazing.
That's lovely. I think we'll wrap up there, if that's all right, Wayne, because we've ended on a real high note. So we want people to go to your Facebook page, Jogging Piles, which I've tagged. I'll tag it again in this, and give Wayne a like. At the very least, if not a share, invite somebody to like his page. Do something for Wayne, because he's doing something for everybody else.
Yeah, and there's loads of videos that we're sticking on there for stuff that you can do at home as well during this period, just to get you moving in a different way, and if you've got kids, getting the kids doing stuff as well. It'll be they should be really helpful. Yeah.
Oh, good. Well, I'll have a look at those as well. Actually, that sounds interesting.
Yeah, do. Yeah.
All right, Wayne. Well, look, it's been fun to talk to you. I really
Likewise.
appreciate the time, and it's actually been really interesting hearing about your history as well, and that Mickey Mouse and Captain Hook story made with him for a while. All right, have a great day.
All right. Yeah, you too. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks again, Wayne. Thanks. Bye.